you for joining me on this weekly Sunday Sunset Chat. Our week is going to start cloudy and damp, but end warmer and drier. It's a little bit of a flip-flop this week. Our latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. That's our PM update by Greg Porter. Anytime you need us, we're at capitalweathergang.com. And again, rain chances are on tap for tonight, and here's radar into tomorrow, and a little bit of a chance on Tuesday as well. I don't want to completely eliminate the chance for rain on Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday we could have some chances as well. But overall, that we have a drying trend starting maybe late Tuesday. It becomes a little bit more noticeable into the middle part of the week and into the end of the week as well. Be even a little warmer and a little bit drier as well. And the good news is humidity generally behaving this week. If you're looking for dew points below 65, should be okay until maybe the very end of the week into next weekend. Good evening, David. Thank you so much for tuning in. And what else do I have for you? The surface kind of happenings going on tomorrow. We've got a low pressure system to our south. We have a front that's moved offshore, but a trough of low pressure, at least at the surface, which is maybe an indication of something going on in the mid and upper levels. We do have rain chances as indicated in the green here, and then we go into Tuesday, and notice what's interesting. We still have some rain chances. The front at the surface, way offshore, but a high pressure at the surface sitting over the mid-Atlantic. So, maybe the entire story is not at the surface. Maybe we need to look into the mid and upper levels. Here's temperatures, and notice this trough, this cool trough that's giving us below average temperatures for the start of our work week. It is going to take a while to warm up the mid and upper levels and get that trough kind of moved out of here. Some more onshore flow from a Bermuda high perhaps, with some southeasterly winds by the end of this week into the weekend. So it does take some time to get this cooler, cloudy, damper, rain chances. It's unsettled for the first part of the week, but then here's moisture. It does maybe get dry with the browns kind of moving back into the picture later Tuesday into Wednesday, and Thursday we get very dry at the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. And then the moisture starts creeping back in by Friday into the weekend. So if it still looks like this, maybe later tomorrow, just start having a plan B in the back of your mind for your weekend plans. We'll see if we're between two systems that do provide us some rain and unsettled conditions. Here it is, sunset tonight, 8:04 p.m. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook right now. I'm happily talking to you on all three. Thanks for following us on our social media channels. Anytime you need us, we're at capitalweathergang.com. Next time I talk to you, next Sunday night, it will be before 8 p.m. Eastern. Enjoy these later evening daylight scenarios where we're actually having a sunset after 8 p.m. That's going to be a thing of the past sooner than later. Good evening, Paul. Thanks so much for tuning in. Aaron, missed you last week as well. Had lots of technical unexpected difficulties at the last second. And Paul wasn't expecting rain so early. I hope you were not taken too far surprised. I did have a couple raindrops myself this afternoon, but nothing too disruptive. But yeah, I think I'll admit I had a little bit greater number of raindrops a little bit earlier in the day today than I expected. Kristen, very kind words. Thanks for tuning in. And we've got low. Can we keep the weather like this weekend, please? I know. Unfortunately, we've got to get some rain chances. At least it'll be cooler with the rain chances to start the work week. But we at least keep the humidity at bay generally until this upcoming weekend. So let me show you, here's the forecast at a glance. Let's take the humidity out of there. But dew points, I just want to point out briefly, should stay kind of below moist, sticky, and unpleasant regime until maybe the next weekend. But as you can see, a slow drying and warming trend as we get to the end of the week. Latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. And can't wait till fall, says Diane. I know. And does dry mean low humidity? Amy, that's a great question. So let's talk about that. We've got dew points, which is what we feel, that humid, sticky feeling. They should behave here at the surface where we live until maybe the very end of the week into the weekend. But because of the rain chances and the cooler temperatures, relative humidities are going to be nearer 100% at times. So you're not going to want to, have your laundry drying outdoors. You can't expect if you wash off your car really quick, it's not going to dry very quickly. So even if you're on a morning run, you'll notice your sweat will not evaporate super quick, even though the absolute kind of moisture in the atmosphere is lower and less oppressive than it was a week ago, let's say. But relative humidity will play into things for Monday and Tuesday, the start of the work week, where we do have some damp conditions and some potentially rainier conditions. All right, Caroline is enjoying the cooler weather. Hello, Peter. And we've got Paul. Oh no, I hope the concerts weren't caught off guard by any raindrops today. And Scott, autumnal weather changes. I don't think it's going to stick around too much just yet, but I am confident our hottest and highest heat index values is behind. They should be behind us now. I don't think we're going to see any more 110 heat index values again for the summer. Knock on wood. All right, loving this trough, David. Yes, let's talk about that. Let me get back to the surface really quick. The front is bowing out to sea. This is tomorrow's map. Rain chances in the green, trough here at the surface near the West Virginia region. But then look at this, a high pressure at the surface despite rain chances on Tuesday, which kind of makes us think. Let's look to the mid and upper levels. Here's some moisture in the mid to upper levels for Monday, for Tuesday. Can't rule out a shower Wednesday, Thursday as well, maybe even a thunderstorm on Friday. But overall, these are drying conditions at the mid and upper levels. That's kind of the story, not necessarily at the surface, but the mid and upper levels, this trough, and it's moisture, and it's cooler temperatures. That's kind of driving the story here at the surface. Here are the temperatures that we were kind of alluding to a second ago. At the end of this week, we're jumping way ahead. First, we've got warmer temperatures, but here it is below average temperatures with that trough. Look at that bow here in the winds and pressures at the mid and upper levels. We've got this kind of cutoff low pressure system sticking over us Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday as well. But warmth returns, much more average conditions for August, so we will get there. But it's driven this week. The weather story is driven by the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. So thanks again for tuning in. Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. That's where we are anytime you need us. We're also here on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, talking to you live on all three tonight. I'm so happy. And let's enjoy our last 8 p.m. sunset on a Sunday sunset chat. By the time you talk to me next Sunday, we will be sunsetting before 8 p.m. Peter likes the low humidity mention. Yes, shouldn't get too muggy until the weekend. That is what I'm thinking. David is loving this trough, indeed. Hoping the heavy stuff holds off until it's over, Paul. I hope you're at a concert. I think, luckily, no major thunderstorm activity is in the area right now. And let me pull that up really quick. Radar is a little bit active. That's generally heavier rain in central Virginia. And let's talk about rain amounts. Let's get that up here as well. So the next 48 hours, we've got most of the rain focusing kind of south of the Potomac, but third of an inch around DC can't be ruled out. And then southwest of town could see a quick inch of rain, even around Roanoke or so. And then we take a break generally, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not too much high probability of heavy rain. But this weekend, we could add another half inch to an inch of rain, potentially, if we are stuck between a Bermuda high pressure system and a front, another system trying to move out of the Great Lakes. That's why there's that sharp cutoff kind of in western West Virginia and the Ohio River Valley. We could see a bit of kind of a cutoff there as the system pushes toward us, being squeezed with some moisture, southerly flow with a high pressure system out over Bermuda, kind of pumping it in clockwise. Low pressure system over the Great Lakes counterclockwise. That's just amplifying a southerly flow over the mid-Atlantic, kind of giving us the moisture feed potentially this weekend. We'll see. Not guaranteed that we're stuck between these systems, but maybe 24 hours from now, if it's still looking like the trend is for some rain this weekend, maybe formulate a plan B just in the back of your mind to have ready to take action. Don't act on it yet. Still low confidence for this upcoming weekend, but I wanted to show you we do have another batch of rain potentially this upcoming weekend as well. And the above average precipitation trend could continue into next work week as well, 8 to 14 days out. And here's a sneak preview on the temperature side of things. This weekend, maybe 80s is the dominant regime of temperatures, even if we do see some clouds and some rain. Could be a little bit muggier by the weekend as well. And the temperature trend into next work week does lean above average as well. So mid 80s, fairly confident, upper 80s, maybe near 90 again. Could we add our 30th day to our heat counter? It is possible. We will have to watch that. But we're still barely tracking below average year to date for the 90-degree day count here in the Washington, D.C. area. Tropics really quick. If you were wondering, there's a small disturbance in southern Texas, slight chance of formation. It would be the D storm, which is Danielle, but that is low probability. I think the tropics won't really have a trend to heat up until maybe the end of next week. It's probably going to be another week before we see kind of the middle of the Atlantic heat up. So keep that in mind. So we have a little bit of a quiet time ahead before the potential of more activity in the Atlantic going forward in about a week's time, maybe the end, I think starting around August 17th. That's what I'm thinking. All right. Beth asks, how do dew points compare to relative humidity? Dew points on this scale that I've just put up, kind of an absolute measure of how it feels in the atmosphere, the absolute measure of moisture in the atmosphere. Relative humidity is relative. It is more applicable to how fast things can dry, evaporate, laundry, car wash. Can my car dry really quickly? It's more of a relative scale. Also in the morning, when the temperature is near the dew point and the low temperature won't get but so low if the high dew point, indicating more absolute high moisture, is so high that we only get to maybe a 75-degree low temperature, for instance, you're going to feel awfully muggy 24 hours a day. But even if the dew point is a little more comfortable, let's say 60 degrees, the low temperature gets down to 60 and meets that at the dew point level, that's 100% relative humidity. You're not going to evaporate well at all, no evaporation. So your laundry, you'll be sweating a lot. Your laundry won't evaporate and dry in the early morning hours if the low temperature is right near the dew point, which is, again, an absolute measure. The relative humidity, when it's at 100%, usually in the early morning hours, your morning run will also, you'll see sweat accumulating on you and not evaporating, no matter what the dew point really is. So keep that in mind. I hope that helps answer your question. And Aaron is excited about some of this weather. I'm glad you are. And Peter, you're thinking no thank you to some of the weekend rain. And Peter, wow, you're a warm weather lover. You want more of that 110 heat index. Well, I think, though, for the season, our 110 heat indexes are behind us. And Teresa is hating cold spells during the summer. This is below average, but I wouldn't call the low to mid 70s tomorrow necessarily cold in an absolute manner, but we have acclimated to 110 heat index values around the DC area. So I see your point. Let's look at the temperatures in the mid to upper levels this week. That's kind of the driving story here, even at the surface where we live. Cooler greens kind of pull out and turn into oranges by the end of the week as this trough, this cutoff low pressure on the eastern part of the United States pulls away. Beth, you're most welcome. And Aaron, we were just talking about hurricanes. So far, only a slight chance of this disturbance over South Texas develops in the coming few days. It's looking like August 17th onward could be a bump upwards in middle of the Atlantic activity. The Atlantic tropical season peaks typically around September 10th. So we have another month or so until the typical peak, climatological peak of hurricane activity in the Atlantic. Our next storm is Danielle, the D storm. So keep that in mind. Fairly quiet right now. Low chance this disturbance over South Texas develops, but we will have to keep an eye on things. Activity could ramp upwards starting on August 17th. Hey, Frank, are you tuning in from Nashville, New Hampshire? That's excellent. Been a degree cooler than DC, I bet. That's great. Let's see. Hot weather for me too, says Laura. Excellent. So, Laura, you're probably looking forward to the warming trend at the end of this week. Warming and drier, slowly but surely, as we get toward the end of the week. Though, of course, can't completely rule out a stray shower for Wednesday through Friday, even a thunderstorm perhaps as well. And as soon as the sunset approaches 8 p.m., Elizabeth, you do not like that trend. Indeed, we have 8:04 p.m. tonight was our sunset generally inside the Beltway. But before 8 p.m. is when you'll talk to me for these weekly Sunday sunset chats. Next Sunday, I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thanks for joining me on these weekly Sunday sunset chats. I'm so happy to be live with you on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Good to see you. Good to talk with you. No more heat, please, says Paul. Bring on fall. And we're due for another heat wave before around Labor Day, David. Indeed, I don't think we'll get to heat index values of 110. That should be behind us, the hottest and most humid combination of the season. But yes, indeed, we've seen some upper 90s at the end of September even in recent years. All right. Michelle and Teresa are loving it. And Paul, appreciate you as well. And Kristen and Aaron, you all are most welcome. All right, what else do I want to discuss with you? Rain amounts in the next 48 hours. Generally, heaviest amounts are southwest of town. Even an inch down near Roanoke can't be ruled out. And then we take a little bit of a pause, the middle and end part of the week. And then we could add another ½ inch to an inch. These are totals of rain by next Sunday when you speak to me next, but for our next weekly Sunday sunset chat. As you can see, again, southwest of town, generally where the heavier rain amounts exist over the next 7 days. So keep that in mind. That's kind of one trend there. But as you can see, we could be a little bit squeezed between two systems, a channel of moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico potentially by the weekend. heading into the mid-Atlantic. So we'll see how this shapes up. There is still low confidence and plenty of time for the details to change for the weekend. And let's keep that in mind. The moisture trend for the precipitation trend, even for next work week, 8 to 14 days out, has a slight probability of staying above average in the precipitation category. Let's flip to temperatures for this weekend, 80s for Saturday. Even if we see some clouds and rain, it should be generally high temperatures around 80 degrees. Should we see sunnier conditions, it should be closer to 90 degrees, I would think, for this upcoming weekend. That's what the background simulations are depicting for this upcoming weekend. Now, the main weather model system has not made up its mind which of the background simulations it wants to follow for the rain trend potential this weekend. So that indicates to me it is still a low confidence forecast, and hopefully in the next 24 hours we can trend drier. There is still room for trends to change over the next day or two. So keep that in mind. Just maybe tomorrow or Tuesday have a plan B for this upcoming weekend if you have outdoor plans. And on the temperature side of things, into next work week, leaning above average as well for temperatures. So mid 80s to around 90 degrees can't be ruled out. Maybe we'll add our 30th day sooner than later to our heat counter, but we are still tracking just ever so slightly below our count, which is normally 30.7 for this point in the year for 90 degree days or higher in DC. And again, tropics fairly quiet right now. Slight chance a disturbance in South Texas develops. That would be our D storm, Danielle, if it develops. And as I was mentioning earlier, we do want to stay tuned for August 17th onward. There could be a slight uptick in Atlantic hurricane and tropical system development activity in the Atlantic hurricane basin. Let's take a quick look at radar, and here's our latest forecast, CWG.news/latest by Greg Porter, our PM update, and of course, anytime you need us, we're at capitalweathergang.com. Rain moving in, continuing to move in tonight, and rain chances remain with us through at least definitely tomorrow, more often than not. And then through, I'd say, Tuesday morning has a decent chance, but slowly but surely we can try and kick this upper level low pressure system, kind of a cutoff low, embedded in this trough in the jet stream over us, keeping us cool, cloudy, unsettled, and damp into the early part of this week. We'll see how quickly we can kick it out of here to kind of get sunnier skies by the end of this week. So, stay tuned to capitalweathergang.com. It's not for certain the exact timing of when we do see sunnier and drier conditions. David, we are doing fine with rain this year. No drought to speak of, really, in the mid-Atlantic. Good question. Short-term model showing September. Lewis, I'm not sure I understand the question, but so far we don't see any strong signals for fall or winter just yet to report. But of course, we'll have our September monthly outlook out by the very end of August, if not the first day of September. I promise you that. Paul, drought is doing great. We're doing fine around here in the mid-Atlantic, especially east of the Mississippi, much better than west of the Rockies. Frank, you're a little bit dry up there in New England. That is true. And do you have any short-term models? Lewis will keep you posted on September and onward. Frank, I'm sorry you have some brown grass there in New England. Indeed, we'll try and shoot you some rain there by the time the month is over. Let's see. Let's look at the short-term trends. You do have a front, but it's a dry front moving through New England on Monday into Monday night. And notice we have a trough of low pressure kind of in the middle part of the country. Tuesday, much of the same, but notice high pressure at the surface, not keeping us dry in the mid-Atlantic. So let's turn to the mid and upper levels. We've got a cool trough at the mid and upper levels in the eastern part of the United States. Going to be tough to move it out of here, but look at those oranges, the warmth returns and the high pressure returns. You notice that trough is pulled out. Bermuda high is trying to push back into our region by the end of the week. Moisture-wise at the mid and upper levels also kind of directing the story this week, even here at the surface. Look at those browns moving back in to keep us dry by maybe Wednesday and Thursday, hopefully on Friday, but moisture moves back in at the mid and upper levels into the weekend when we could see a little bit more rain. There is a chance. Low confidence on the exact details, but stay tuned to capitalweathergang.com. We will keep you posted whether or not you need to first form a plan B for your outdoor weekend plans and then act on it as we get closer. TBD, so just take a breath and we will keep you posted on the weekend plans. Thanks again for tuning in on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm broadcasting for a few more seconds. Camden Walker for capitalweathergang.com. I'll see you before 8 p.m. next week. Thanks so much for tuning in, And Michelle, you're asking about tropical activity. I'll go over that one more time. Everyone's thinking about tropics now as we get closer to the climatological peak of September 10th for hurricane activity in the Atlantic Basin. Slight chance only of this southern Texas disturbance developing into anything. Our eyes should be back on the tropical Atlantic, I think, starting August 17th. Stay tuned for an uptick potentially in activity as we again get toward climatological peak September 10th for hurricane activity in the Atlantic Basin. Our next storm is Danielle. And thanks, David, as well. You take care, and thanks, everyone. Let me leave you on the note of our weather forecast, generally trending starting wet, damp, and cloudy, and cooler at the beginning of the week. Slowly, we try and kick out this upper-level low pressure, this cutoff low pressure system and trough in the eastern United States, turning warmer, drier, and sunnier by the end of the week. We will keep you posted on the weekend, which could be unsettled, but plenty of time for that to change a bit. So here's our latest forecast in the meantime, CWG.news/latest, and 24/7, we're at capitalweathergang.com. Maria, you take care, and thanks for